oh my god. It's an oh my god type of scent. It's also very lactonic, very creamy. It's very strong. The bottle is something else, right? Look at it's one of the cleanest tea scents you can find out there. This fragrance should come with a warning. It's such a powerhouse. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Giselle. I review fragrances. So welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're one of my loyal returning subscribers. So today is about my top 5 discoveries of 2025. I bought more than 5 fragrances, but these 5 were my standouts, and for this reason I wanted to share them with you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first fragrance I have for you today is Fétiche La Rose by Louboutin. Guys, let me tell you something. You might have heard me saying, especially when I talk about specific complex fragrances, that just buying one ml sample doesn't do justice to the fragrance. And this is prime example. I remember this fragrance wasn't love at first sniff. I didn't fall nearly as hard as everyone was falling for it. However, I felt there was something to it and I kept on trying it. So after the second, third round of sampling, mind you, I tried original samples, manufacturer samples, not decants, and they were larger than 1 ml. I think they were like 1.5 or 2, something in that neighborhood. However, as I said, it wasn't enough for me. So I kept on trying. And by the third round, I started really liking it, and I decided to buy it. And I couldn't be happier because it is a really beautiful fragrance. And I can tell you that aside from the lid, which is part of the design, I know it looks like a weapon, but it's part of the design. And actually, if you look inside, it's red, like the Louis shoes and the Louis bags. And it was inspired by the famous stilettos. So as you can see, they put a lot of thought behind this design. So Fétiche La Rose is very jammy, deep, sexy, spicy. It opens pretty spicy. It's so sexy. There's something boozy to it. It's slightly powdery. And when I say powdery, I'm not talking about the powderiness that comes from iris, for example, or orris sometimes, or the type of powderiness reminiscent of an old makeup compact case. Think about fairy dust. This is the type of powderiness I'm talking about here. Even if you don't like powdery scents, you might still enjoy this one because it doesn't bother you at all. It's very subtle, but it's still there and it provides a lot of femininity to the fragrance. Super beautiful. It's very feminine and also very deep, very intoxicating. It's a very femme fatale type of scent. Pretty spicy, especially in the opening, but as the fragrance transitions, you will start getting more of the rose and the cherry. Those two are by far the most prominent notes. What I like about this fragrance is that first, it's a very different take on the typical rose, just like Can't Get Enough by Initio, which I reviewed in my previous video. This is a very different take on the typical rose. It's a very sensual fragrance, super sexy, very smooth. Oh my god, so good. I'm so glad I kept on trying this fragrance and I gave it a second chance because, as I said, it wasn't love at first sniff. So happy I gave this fragrance a second chance because I would have been missing on something really special. This is a very special rose fragrance, rose cherry fragrance. It reminds me of Carmina. Not that they are similar, but they both share the dark, deep, sexy rose together with the juicy dark cherry. Both give me the same vibes. Stunning perfume. And I would wear both for the same type of occasion. So I would definitely put both of them in the same category. It's a very voluptuous fragrance, very smooth, very velvety. Let me tell you something, if velvet had a scent, it would be this one. It doesn't project like crazy on my skin, and I get around 6 hours of lasting power. However, it's a fragrance that never becomes a skin scent, so even though projection is not crazy, people will still smell it when they are around you. So the next one on my list is Sirène by Fragrance du Bois. This is the original. I also tried the new flanker, Sirène Privée. I also like it a lot. I can't say I like it more than the original. That's why I haven't bought it yet. But this, to me, is enough. It's so beautiful. And that's why I wanted to include it in this list today because it definitely was one of my standouts in 2025. So what do we have here? we have a very lactonic cherry fragrance. Shocker, yes, we have cherry here again. I love cherry, especially when I find a cherry fragrance that doesn't smell like cough syrup. So it is beautiful, really, really beautiful. So beautiful, so feminine. It's a stunning perfume. The cherry note, it's pretty prominent, especially in the opening. It's also very lactonic, very creamy. Wow, it's very strong. It's very strong. Don't get fooled by this pretty bottle. The bottle is something else, right? Look at the lid, everything. It's super high quality, very heavy. But although it's a very feminine scent, there's nothing subtle here. So again, don't be fooled by the pink bottle. As I was saying, it's a very strong scent, has above average projection, way above average. To me, the cherry here is not the ripe, dripping, juicy type of cherry. It's actually lactonic, as I was saying, very creamy as well. We have oud, we have incense. The fragrance is a little bit incensey. I can pick a slight smokiness that honestly it's blurred with the oud here. So even if you don't like incense, even if you don't like smoky fragrances, don't worry, because yes, we do have that smoky component, but as I said, it's kind of blurred with the oud, because oud sometimes can smell a little bit smoky. It's not a typical incense forward fragrance, but yes, we do have incense here in the composition. It's also mossy and woody, which you will get more in the dry down. However, you never lose the cherry note. And this is something I truly love. When you buy a fragrance that you think is dominant in a specific note because you love it, this is what happens here. You never lose the main component, the main note, the main reason why I bought this fragrance, because I do love cherry in perfumery. However, as I always say, my main struggle is that most of them are lost cherry wannabes or they smell like cough syrups. However, I do have a few cherry fragrances in my collection that stand on their own. They don't want to be another lost cherry and they don't smell like cough syrup. And Sirène is one of them, just like Fétiche La Rose or Carmina that I also reviewed in my previous video. It's a very flirty, addictive, very feminine type of scent. I get between 8 and 12 hours of lasting power. Projection, as I mentioned earlier, it's above average, completely ageless. Again, don't be fooled by the pink bottle. It's super feminine, super pretty, but Sirène, main character energy. Nothing subtle here. So if you haven't yet, this is a fragrance I highly recommend. Sirène, the original by Fragrance du Bois. The next one is No Limit by Affinity, and this fragrance is, oh my god, it's an oh my god type of scent. I would describe this fragrance as a gourmand sophistication in a bottle, period. This is what No Limit is. So chic, so sophisticated. The bottle, which is so minimalist, the lid, so pretty. It's such a beautiful fragrance. And even if you are not a gourmand lover like me, you might still like this one. Because in my experience, when people say they don't like gourmands, for the most part, they are referring to the snack type of scents. This is not. This actually takes the gourmand game to a whole new level. It's very elevated, very sophisticated, very refined, super duper elegant, very beautiful. Yes, it's sweet, but it's not cloying. It's slightly coconutty. It smells very expensive, very luxe. It's so good. The caramel note here is pretty prominent. It's what you get in the opening, like immediately. It's very prominent, very creamy, very buttery. And honestly, I've smelled very few fragrances in this category that smell expensive and luxurious. But No Limit does. So even if you don't like gourmand, I really encourage you to try this one, because this is what happened to me. I'm not a gourmand lover, although I have gourmand fragrances in my collection, but they all are in this category. Usually they are not the snack type, with a couple exceptions. But for the most part, my gourmand scents are not reminiscent of snacks or pastry or anything like that. So this fragrance is sweet. I'm not a snake oil seller. I'm not going to tell you anything that's not true. This fragrance is sweet and you have to enjoy sweet fragrances. However, the sweetness is very well done. It's a very chic fragrance. It won't smell cheap. It won't smell like a body spray. I love body sprays. Nothing against them, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now, we have way more than caramel here. It's not just about the caramel. We also have vanilla. We have iris, we have ylang-ylang, we have sandalwood, and a little bit of patchouli in the base, wrapping up and grounding the whole composition. However, the patchouli here, it's barely noticeable. It's not dirty or anything like that. Even if you don't like patchouli, you might still enjoy this perfume. So it's very long lasting. I get around 10 hours on my skin without even overspraying, with average projection. And one thing I love about this fragrance is that it never becomes a skin scent, so it will continue projecting for as long as it stays on your skin. So if you want a sweet gourmand niche fragrance that doesn't smell like pastry, you have to try No Limit by Affinity. Moving on, the next fragrance on my list is Thé Noir by Le Labo. So Thé Noir in French means black tea. And this is what this fragrance reminds me of. It reminds me of oolong tea. Oolong tea can be milky, can be creamy, but it can also be smoky, which is what we have here. Oops. Gosh, it's so exquisite. This is such an exquisite fragrance. It's one of the cleanest tea scents you can find out there. It's very, very beautiful. It's fresh, it's clean, as I was saying. It's mossy. The dry note is woody, but for the most part, this fragrance is very, very fresh. It's rich. It has a very fresh richness to it that makes it very special. It's also slightly creamy, slightly milky. I think those nuances come from the oolong tea association that I said. I don't know why. Oolong tea is what comes to my mind because it checks all those boxes. It doesn't say it has oolong tea, that's just my personal opinion, but that's how I perceive this fragrance. It's very creamy. It's also very leafy. Honestly, I didn't even know this fragrance had fig in the composition. Fig is another note I struggle with together with tuberose. I don't like fig. However, as I always say, it depends on the composition, and here I'm loving it. At first sniff, I actually thought it had fig leaf, not fig, the fruit note, right? But no, it's the fruit what we have here, and it's what gives sweetness. However, this is not a sweet fragrance. Actually, I would describe Thé Noir. It's like a creamy, bittersweet type of tea scent. I love tea fragrances in general, but for the most part, they are pretty similar among them. However, this one stands out to me. It's very, very unique. Super clean, super cozy, very enveloping, very inviting, very intimate. You will never bother anyone. This is a very inoffensive fragrance, perfect for day or nighttime. If you go heavier on the spritzes, you can definitely wear this during the night for a night out or date night or whatever. It's a very intimate scent, as I was saying, so I think it's perfect for date nights. It's really, really stunning perfume, very exquisite. It's very chic, very sophisticated, very elegant. It lasts about 6 hours on my skin with a moderate projection. If you haven't yet, I highly, highly recommend Thé Noir by Le Labo. And the last one for today is Red by 𝗬𝗏. So this fragrance should come with a warning. It's such a powerhouse. Oh my God, this fragrance was love at first sniff. I even purchased this perfume without having finished the sample, and that's a lot to say because I take my time to finish my samples or decants, and this was like a hard yes. I couldn't wait. I had to have it, and that's what I did. I purchased it like right on the spot. Stunning perfume. It's so rich, so dense, so unique, very sweet. It's almost sticky. It's a very sweet fragrance. It won't remind you of a snack. You won't smell like a snack, but you will smell sweet. This is a very sweet, rich, very dense type of scent. It's also pretty resinous, very bold. It has coconut, it has ylang-ylang, it has frangipani, it also has hazelnut, so we have a very subtle nuttiness here. It's not very prominent, so even if you don't like nutty fragrances, don't worry because it's barely there. However, it's here. It gives texture to fragrances. As I explained in one of my previous videos, sometimes notes or accords are created to provide an experience rather than scent. For example, that feeling of being hugged or gooiness or nuttiness, it's not necessarily about the scent, but about the olfactory experience. And I think that's what the hazelnut does here. It's more about the texture it provides rather than scent. This is compliments galore, guys. It's an absolute turner. It's perfect for cold weather. This is a fragrance I can only wear during cold weather. I can't imagine wearing this during the summer because I know I'll be choking people around even with a couple spritzes. So this fragrance starts out very sweet. The opening, it's very sweet, but as the fragrance transitions, it settles to a very rich, dense, intoxicating base that's still sweet, but not as sweet as in the opening. It's super long lasting. I get around 12 plus hours. Sometimes I even have to scrub it off in the shower pretty strongly to get rid of this fragrance. So be mindful with your spritzes. So if you like lush, voluptuous, very rich, dense, intoxicating fragrances with some nuttiness and a very heavy dose of amber, especially in the dry down, Red by 𝗬𝗏 is a must try. You can't miss this fragrance if you like this type of scent profile. So guys, this was it for today. If you're new here, thank you so much for staying until the very end. I hope you enjoy my content, and if that's the case, I hope you consider subscribing, and please don't forget to hit the bell icon so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.